Hello, how's it going, movie and TV fans? And welcome to something that should have it's been legitimately quite a while in the making, due to recent events that we'll discuss in a minute. The Doctor Who, I should stop clapping. That's a very 11 thing to do. Clap, clap, clap. The Doctor Who Series 6 review. Obviously, this review we're starting with The Impossible. With the impossible astronaut, and the key part of it is the impossible astronaut in the Dead Moon. But obviously, first just a few little things. Obviously, I've literally just at the time of recording, I've literally just posted the channel update video on the main channel, updates stuff that I'm going to talk about again here because why the hell not? And then obviously a bit of an overview of the series, and then we'll get into the impossible astronaut. So obviously, the updates and stuff. Obviously, this has been a while in the making because I broke my previous microphone, so I had to wait a while to get a replacement. I got was it wasn't faulty, it just had a bit of a noise issue that I had to work for most of today, which I did have been doing. At the end of the day, obviously the mic works fine now, the review's getting done, but you know, obviously I was away the last couple of days. I was away in Margate with my little cousin, great little guy, and obviously I was going to put it up on Instagram like I did mention, but I hadn't seen my cousin in over 2 years, so I just kind of wanted to, you know, spend the time with him, and I didn't put it on Instagram as a result because I just wanted to, you know, spend all the time with him. It was welcome to me, and I haven't been 2 years due to the pandemic. So yeah, I had to, you know, put it on Instagram. I did make a post, but mention that in the other videos, so check that out. But we're back with Series 6, a little low. I just want to mention quickly that obviously I'm recording the 5th of August, and obviously at the time of recording it was you know, a couple of let me see. At the time of recording, approximately in the time since recording, we've had the Series 13 panel at Thingy-mabob, and then since then, on the July 29th, we had the announcement that really took everyone a bit by shock, I think, in some aspects of it and other aspects not. Obviously, it was announced by the BBC that both Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall are leaving Doctor Who in trailer specials, culminating in an epic blockbuster special to air in autumn 2022 as part of the BBC centenary celebration. So what that basically means is that both Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall are leaving Doctor Who in 2022, which I've seen, obviously it's a very big thing to be brought up, that obviously this is 1 year before the 6th anniversary special, so how that's going to work. And all of that kind of thing, which has been up in the air quite a bit. But I just want to put my 2 cents to it that I'm going to be talking about here, and that is that I believe now I've always been someone who has been for the defence of Christian, because I don't think he is as bad as everyone makes him out to be. I think he was just doing his job at the end of the day, and there's nothing more, you know, to be said on that topic. I think he was just doing his job, and he did it to the best extent that he thought he could do. And at the end of the day, he's just a fan who gets to live his dreams. So I'm happy that he did it when he did. Obviously, he's been great friends with Jodie since they both worked on Broadchurch. He's been working on Doctor Who since the 10th Doctor. And I just want to put out there that Jodie Whittaker is one of my favourite Doctors. She's my second favourite Doctor. The 13th Doctor is my second favourite Doctor. And this is a point that I'll bring up in the rest of this review. I want to say here that both the 13th and the 11th Doctor are, for me, they feel like comfort Doctors. People who I can really sort of just watch, feel happy and soft about myself. And they're people that I really think, or characters at least, those two that I really think are fantastic, you know, icons of Doctor Who. And I think I saw a comment saying Jodie did, you know, a fantastic job in the role, and she's a great role model for little girls everywhere. And I think she has a legacy in the series of someone who had an uphill battle from the start and as a constant over her series had that face of people looking down and saying, and a lot of the hardcore fans saying, and that she's a terrible Doctor and Christian was terrible. Having that and just head on, just doing the best they can. I think she's been a fantastic Doctor for the series, and I can't wait for the future. But I'm also sad to see one of the best Doctors leave us behind. And on the topic of Chris Chibnall, obviously when the new Doctor speculation comes about, it's an easy thing to go around the world and speculate and stuff. But it's very interesting that the speculation for who will replace Chris Chibnall, because it's a very unusual situation. Because while with Jodie, it was expected that she would leave after 3 series, but not good. By the end of series 13, that would have been her 3rd season. But we did not expect Chibnall to go quickly as he did. We expected Chibnall to stay on for the next Doctor, because in the past, Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat both helmed 2 Doctors each, obviously 9 and 10 for Russell T Davies, 11 and 12 for Stephen Moffat, so we expected Chris Chibnall to be doing 13 and 14, but that's not the case, and so fully up in the air who will be the next show. And I personally want Mark Gatiss, who wrote a lot of odd Doctors, but I hate that. But another one that's been floating in the air that I think is a fucking fantastic idea is Kate Herron, the director of Loki, the series of Loki that just came out, which I'm doing a review for soon, by the way. Once this Doctor stuff is wrapped up, that's another one. I forgot to mention that one in the update video, so that's another series that I'm doing as well, Loki. But she was rumoured to, they've been sort of, she said that she's not doing the 2nd season of Loki, and she turned it down because of something she can't disclose yet. So that's everyone jumping onto the ball that it could be her being the next show on of Doctor Who, which would be a fantastic thing to do for Doctor Who. And I look forward to the future of the show, and that's just my 2 cents on that. And like I said, I think the most important thing to take away from my 2 cents is that both 11 and 13 for me are just comfort Doctors, and they make me feel all warm and fuzzy when I watch them. And I think she's going to leave that impression on the series as a whole, of being this lovely, lovable Doctor who, is a fantastic Doctor, but if you get on the wrong side of it, not a good idea. But even still, that's just my 2 cents on that. And yeah, it's been a wild ride for Doctor Who fans recently, but we should now get into The Impossible Astronaut. Now, I think this episode, personally, to kick off season, at the end of the day, Series 6, I'm just thinking about it. I think let's just go over the overview of Series 6 quickly. So we've got, obviously, Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon, which is a 2-parter, The Curse of the Black Spot, The Doctor's Wife, the Rebel Flesh, The Almost People, A Good Man Goes to War, Let's Kill Hitler, which is a 2-part, that's the way I said. Night Terrors, The Girl Who Waited, The God Complex, Closing Time, The Wedding of Riversong, and The Doctor, The Widow, and The Wardrobe. Now, I think this is unlike almost every single previous series, including Series 1, which had a 2-part finale, a 2-part finale, and then a Christmas special. All of the series so far, so that obviously with the exception of Series 3, which had a 3-part finale in Utopia, Sound of the Drums, Last of the Time Lord. But yeah, most of the series have had a big old 2-parter. Series 4 is special, leave that alone. But it's interesting to look back on Series 4 and that we are technically getting the same, Jodie is living the same way that David Tennant did. Instead of being a full series next year, there will be, although David Tennant had 5 specials, technically 4 counting Combat 1 and 2 as well, which I will do. Jodie's only having 3, although I suppose that, I don't know if it's 3, because I heard that they commissioned 3 and then they want an extra 1, or if they commission 2 and they're getting the extra 1 as the big full-length feature film one that they said. So I'm hoping that they commission 3 and then they're asking for a 4th one would be the best situation out of this, and that the 4th one may end up being a 60th anniversary special. Would be lovely, but I highly doubt that, and that's all I think. Yeah, but yeah, Series 4 also ended that way, and so did Series 5. Series 6 does not end with a big 2-part, as far as I'm aware. It doesn't, no. But it ends one single part, an episode, The Wedding of Riversong, and then obviously followed by a Christmas special that is not exactly the best, The Doctor, The Widow, and The Wardrobe. And then Series 7 is really special, and I am going to do the 2-part, 2 different reviews for that. So that'll be episodes 1 through 6, Series 7, Part 1, 2012, and then Series 7 Part 2, 2013, and then the 50th anniversary specials, the Night of the Doctor, sorry, the Name of the Doctor, the Day of the Doctor, and the Time of the Doctor. I'm going to bond them all as that because I've got a Blu-ray that has those 2 on it as the 50th anniversary specials. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, that's Series 6 as a whole. I think it's looking at what we've got, I think the story arc of Series 6 is pretty cool. And we start off quite well in this episode, and I think The Impossible Astronaut is a fun, fantastically epic episode that I feel like is very well, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's very, you know what, I need to stop going, I think The Impossible Astronaut is just a lot of fun. I think, I like the concept. That's one of my favourite scenes from this episode and from the series is the music in the scene perfectly. And I'm thinking of recording and uploading it. The monster thing, but it's when River works out that obviously there's an extra person on the invite list. There's 4 invites and they haven't figured out who number 1 is, and then the doctor opens the door and it's him standing there and the music is everything. I think that's one of my favourite scenes in this episode, and I think this whole episode is really like a roller coaster of emotions, at least the beginning is. But I really do like Canton Everett Delaware the third, played by Mark Sheppard, who will definitely a name who will be brought up in the Doom Patrol, because he's also in Doom Patrol. But this is the first thing I saw him in, and I think he's really played a great character here. Fantastic. Canton Everett Delaware the third is fun here. I love the setting of 1969, and I think that's fantastic to it. I think as a whole, this episode, I think it really definitely adds to the pile of episodes that set up a lot of things. I think it definitely shows Amy's relationship with the Doctor to an extent, what River did in her relationship with the Doctor as well, and I think that's absolutely fantastic to start the series in almost one that really does set up quite a lot of what would go forward in Series 6, and some of the stuff that was really set up in Series 5 with the Silence Before thing, that still follows through to here, obviously with the Silence in the episode, which is really cool to see, and I think that really elevates Series 6 and this episode as a whole. I think Series 6 has some really fun episodes, and this is a great start to it. I do like the intro where he dies, and obviously brainstorming that episode, I also thought, well, how can he die if there's a regeneration cycle? Well, obviously he gets shot before the regeneration cycle happens, and he's back then. That's a really great, almost bug fix to a problem that we would have put early on in the script, and it's great to see that. Obviously, I think he's a fantastic writer. I can't wait to see the future of the show, and for some reason, someone on the list for I think I read an article where someone on the list of potential showrunners to take over from Chibnall would be Russell T Davies again, which I don't think he'd do it. I'd love to see him do it, but I don't think he'll do it because he's busy doing his own thing. Obviously, with the success of his sin, it's all up. It's all, he's for how ahead doing what he wants to do. But yeah, so this has been 12 minutes already, so I can tell that Series 6 is getting very long. Like I said, my favourite Doctor is 11, second favourite Doctor is 13. I just want to mention, I should have mentioned this in the updates video, but I'm thinking of doing a top 10 movies video, because I currently have a top 10 list of movies that can change every now and then, but I've got can't stick a lot of movies, and I was just trying to figure out, one of the things I was trying to figure out was how many of those actual movies have I done a review of, and looking at the list, there is only 3 movies on that list that I haven't done a review for, and one of them is planned to be in the animated month next month in September, so that one's going to get crossed off the list. So there's just 2. Where's some up my list, but there are numbers 10 and 4, so that's interesting. But I do think that list, the listing and the structure of that list, can definitely change. I have to watch them all before I do that video. I must watch them all in a row. I might watch them in release order, which would mean that could be an interesting way to watch it, actually. That, and then it would be that, and then it would be those 3. 3 did come out in 2019, and out of those 3, 2 of them I've reviewed on the channel already. I can tell you I've reviewed quite a few of them, like I said, but I'm babbling on now. So yeah, The Impossible Astronaut is a fun episode. I enjoy it. I hope, that I hope the BBC doesn't claim this one, because I've got a new mic to do all this stuff, and I really don't claim it because or block it at least. Claiming it, I don't give a shit if they claim it, because I don't make any money off these things. But I do care if they block it worldwide, so I really hope they don't do that. But yeah, coming up now is my view of Series 6, Episode 2, Day of the Moon coming at your guys' faces right about now. Right. So, Series 6, Episode 2. Day of the Moon. Right, so Day of the Moon is one of those ones that it's another episode that I think fairly well pushes a lot of the stuff that's to come in the series. It's the first time we see Amy looking at the Madame Corvan through the hatch in the door. There's the pregnancy thing that will then eventually lead to us finding the big thing out. The river is in fact Rory and Amy's daughter, which is something that maybe Moffat could have set up a bit earlier in Silence of the Lamb, in the Silence of the Library episode, but then again also no. And then obviously there's the ending of this episode where the girl generates, not yet, but they regenerate, and then I think it's an episode that as a whole, obviously I've said this numerous times in these Doctor reviews, the second part of an episode is always superior to the first part. This is just a narrative and structural fact. The first part of a 2-part episode, at least for Doctor Who most of the time, I'm sure it probably is the same with those series, but I haven't seen many series that have 2-parters that often other than Doctor Who. And with Doctor Who at least, what it is that the first part sets up the story, gives us some exposition here and there, sets up the story nicely, introduces the characters for that 2-part episode, for instance, and then leaves us on a nice cliffhanger at the end of a big thing that might happen, that get resolved, someone's death, someone getting shot, some big thing happens at the end of the first part. And then the second part, at the beginning of the second part, is like previously on, all these things happen, and then the big thing is brought back again, and then more things happen, and then it's sort of just the story then almost picked its pace up completely in the second part, because everything's already been set up, so you don't need to set it up, you just dive straight into it, and you have everything already established, and you can dive straight into things, and that's what really makes the 2-parters quite a lot of fun, really. And again, this one definitely is an episode that I feel like almost makes you feel for River, because there's a point where she mentions that each time she meets the Doctor, obviously she knows him more, and he knows her less. So what's happening is that she's technically going backwards, and the Doctor's going forward. And obviously, as we're seeing from the Doctor's time, the Doctor goes forward each time he meets with her. It's really confusing, but to get the gist, each time the Doctor meets River, the River knows more on the Doctor, and the Doctor knows less on River. And obviously River's mentioned there'll be one day where she'll look into the Doctor's eyes and the Doctor won't recognise her anymore. And as we know, after the events of this episode, River goes straight into the Silence of the Library, goes straight into this. I believe, although there is still those series 5 episodes, but I mean, I'm tempted to believe that it's really messy. But she goes into those episodes, then she jumps to Planet of the Dead. Not Planet of the Dead. What the fuck am I talking about? Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. There's that, and obviously that's where we first meet River, and that's where the Doctor first meets River. And I think that's, obviously that's where River is going towards. But I like the start of this episode where it sort of makes you think that Canton Delaware is now bad, because he goes up and he kills Rory and he kills Amy, and River jumps to the building, which we all know how that usually ends. And then it's obviously revealed that that Canton is building this big fuck off prison that the Doctor, that the Doctor can't escape from, and no one can hear him saying anything we're talking about for it. So, and that obviously leads to the obvious thing that instead of there being interrogation or something, with Canton helping the Doctor, which is fun, and I really love that. And obviously, as I'm recording this, that is still about to appear on the screen, which is fun. So yeah. So I guess they can hear it. Yeah, and then obviously they're all alive, and that's really fun. And I've also learned with this mic specifically is that when I pause with the old mic, you still be able to hear Ting's stuff. But with this mic, if I pause, there is nothing because obviously due to the fact that this mic has a massive problem. If I don't have noise suppression, if I don't have audio suppression on in the filters on OBS, then there will just be this fucking annoying effect. So whenever I stop speaking, there is complete silence, which is funny. But yeah, Murray Gold's music here is fantastic. Again, obviously the piece you're hearing now is the piece that plays the beginning of the Impossible Astronaut called I'm the Doctor in Utah, which is a fantastic piece, and I hope, for the love of God, I didn't fuck it up. I didn't fuck it up. But you'll be hearing two pieces here from the Series 6 soundtrack, I Am the Doctor in Utah, and The Majestic Tale of a Madman in the Box, which, funny enough, is the first and last track on the Series 6 soundtrack album. But no, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's a decent episode. It's really fun. I like the fleshing. Like I said, I've always thought it was Canton Delaware, whatever the fuck his name is, the third. It was a really fun character. There's obviously the scene here where they're in the children's home, and then that the guy in the children's home is really quite. And obviously seeing. I don't think it quite was at the time, or maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I don't think it's a bigger debate as it is now. As it was back 10 years ago, by the way. This series we're watching now is 10 years old. But yeah, I think it was lots of debate then, but obviously now it's a big topic at the moon landing. So a lot of people believe the moon landing is fake. I'm not going to comment on it. This is not a commentary on that kind of thing. This is a commentary on the television show, so I'm just going to say that that's a thing that people might believe. And looking back on this episode, many people may believe that it's not aged as well, or maybe people. I'm not going to discuss it further than that because that's not my position to do that. But what I will say is that I do like the concept. It's obviously a part of history that the Doctor Who series hasn't gone to already, and I think some of that stems from you can't be too careful treading on that kind of time period, especially anything 60s onwards, and specifically 63 onwards is. I mean, it's not out of bounds, but what I'm trying to say is it sort of is ironic and fun in that fashion. Obviously, I want to refer to that Doctor Who was very much a TV show in the 1960s. And so it's not treading a fine line because obviously it's a different situation. But I find it almost, that it's just neat, isn't it? It's neat that they're in a time period where the show did in fact exist. When they go back to Shakespearean times and fucking the Romans and Pompeii and that shit and fucking who knows what other fucking pirates and fucking. Series 5, the fucking World War II, it didn't exist in World War II, or, Venice in 16th century, it didn't exist then either, or when Vincent van Gogh was around, it didn't exist in those time periods, so, but looking back on the series, I do believe that's one of the only episodes where they go to a time period, so far, where they go to a time period that was shown since the series. Because obviously the Idiot Atlantis, like the 50s, yeah, clearly. So that would be the 50s. And obviously, as we go to series 3, there isn't really, there isn't anything that is particularly in the time of the show. So I do believe it's the first episode that does that, but I'm going to just verify these by looking at series. Yeah, I am now convinced that, this is the first episode, or 2 episodes, I should say, in the show series that delves into that time period of the 1960s, which obviously, I don't think that's because the show exists about it. I think it's hard to think of, obviously, with the historicals, it's much easier to set things a long time in the past. Then, obviously, people still, and I consider the 60s as modern history. So, I suppose it's a bit harder, but I like the twist they did with it. It really does make it a fun episode. And I think there's some, there are not too many political things at the end where Canton Delaware Everett III mentions that he wants to get married. and that he wants to marry a black person. And then he says to the president that he wants to marry a male black person. And obviously, at that time, that would be incredibly controversial. So it's sort of just implied that. But I think Nixon said, I think the moon landing is enough for now, sort of thing. Interesting. Sure. It's obviously put there as from historical context and historical, historical context for the main part. But it's just, I thought I'd put that there. And I think as a whole, it's good to see Amy, Rory, Eleven, and River. I do think Canton makes a fantastic addition to this collection. And I would have loved to see Canton Everett Delaware III come back in the future. So I can't remember if he does come back in the Series 6 episodes. I don't believe he does, but it would be fucking cool. I can't remember, and as we go through Series 6, we'll discover ourselves. But I don't think he does, and that's quite sad because I think he's really good. He's played by a very talented actor by the name of Mark Shepard, who is also in Doom Patrol. So prepare for that when that happens. But yeah, this is my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 2, Day of the Moon. Coming at you now is my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 3, The Curse of the Black Spot. Coming at you right about now. I can tell you this is going to be a quite lengthy episode because this is 11 minutes long as well. So, and I did not imply to do that. But yeah, coming up now, Series 6, Episode 3, Curse of the Black Spot. Right. So, Series 6, Episode 3, Curse of the Black Spot. Now, it's obviously a pirate adventure, and it's obviously directly linked, well, not directly, but I think it's a fun story. I like the characters. I think the captain's played by Hugh Bonneville, by the way, fun fact. It's a really great story, I think, and it builds and builds and builds, and I like, and a lot of these single episodes also have the same traits similar to the two-parters, that before the title sequence, you have the setup of a death that's linked to the cause of the bad enemy thing, and then just before the title thing, the Doctor and co appear, and then you get the intro, and then it builds and builds and builds, and then the story. And for the case of this one, each one of the crew members gets killed off, or not killed off, gets zapped by the Spot, and then it builds and builds until we've only got Amy, Rory, Doc, the captain, and the captain's son left. And everyone else is supposedly taken by the siren, to the point where Rory gets taken by the siren, so we're just left with the captain, the Doc, and Amy, who then go ding down the arm, and they also get taken to the siren. Blah blah blah. I think the siren, to an extent, the siren's a bit annoying, me personally. I think the singing after about 3 or 4 times, which by the way, the 3rd or 4th time of the siren singing is about 5 to 10 minutes into the episode. So as you can tell, for me, I think the siren and the singing gets really annoying for me after a while. I don't know when anyone else has a feeling like that, but it genuinely does bore me sometimes, and that's just, it's not really right, is it, at the end of the day? But what can I say? As a whole, I think it's just a fantastic. It's a very enjoyable episode. Don't get me wrong. I think obviously like the siren and the singing is incredibly annoying, but I think Amy's brilliant here. Rory's quite. I do feel for Arthur. Just watching towards the end of the episode, really got to think about at what point did he really put his foot down about Rory dying, and I kind of want to know what his opinion of it. Obviously, Rory dies quite a lot over the space because the series is that he inhabits, he character appears in Doctor Who, and you got to think of, did he find it really funny and was happy that Rory kept on dying, or was he just pissed off that his character kept on? I like to think that on screen it's the kind of guy that would find it really fucking funny, and I hope that is exactly what he found it as. But But yeah, like I said, the Curse of the Black Spot, it's fun. It's definitely very enjoyable. I think, like I said, the pirate setting is really cool. The siren is really annoying, by the way. I don't know if I've said this enough times. Rory and Amy are fantastic. I think the Doc is quite cool. Again, it's also you see Madame Corvan, who will see in the 7th episode of the series, a good man goes to war. But the Curse of the Black Spot, I like the pirate setting. Pirates are cool. I think it's an interesting take on a not. Is it history? I'm going to say a part of history that maybe the series hasn't explored too much. Obviously, there is other episodes that involve pirates in the past. I think Space Pirates is one that comes to my mind, and there's the pirate and stuff. But if you want to see me do classic Who reviews, that's always possible, but I don't know. But yeah, I think the Curse of the Black Spot is quite fun. I think the costumes are really sick, by the way. Hugh Bonneville was fantastic as the captain. Matt Smith and Karen Gillan on top form as Amy and Doc as always, and Arthur Dark was on top form as Rory as well. I think the three of them are fantastic. I think this is really where specifically Smith gets his footing as a Doctor. He knows what he's doing at this point, I think, which is fun. Whereas in those early few episodes, it's clear that he's trying to establish himself. The siren, like I said, siren's boring and annoying, but other than that, it's a very well, plotted episode. It's very enjoyable, and I think at the end of the day, it's not one of those just average episodes where it's fun. I think Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon are actually quite fun episodes. Curse of the Black Spot is just one of those. It's there. It's kind of average, not bad, but it's not terrible, but it's also not the best episode in history. I think it's just there, I suppose. The Doctor's Wife is next, episode 4. It's quite fun. I'll definitely, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, coming up now is my review of Doctor Who Series 6, episode 4, The Doctor's Wife, coming at you right about now. Yo! So, Doctor Who, Series 6, Episode 4, The Doctor's Wife? The Doctor's Wife, yeah, I want series, fuck, yeah, The Doctor's Wife. Now, this episode is really fucking, it's really well written. Matt Smith is on top form as 11, Amy and Rory are fantastic here, and I just want to give big props to the actress who plays Idris / the TARDIS, because a fantastic performance, and absolutely just steals the entire fucking show. Like, this episode, not bad. The actual, this environment, this, she steals this episode, and it's fucking fantastic. And I have to admit, I think this is a really well done episode personally, and I just really enjoy it. I think it's fucking fantastic, and I think, Neil Gaiman is a great writer. I think this episode proves that fact. I think it's a great adventure. I think House is an interesting concept, albeit flawed, and I just want to say one of the best things of this episode is it's great to see the 9th and 10th Doctor's TARDIS again in a funky way, and I think that's really sick. I think, it's a nice bit of fan service. It was really sick, I think, and yeah, I just think as a whole, it's a fucking fantastic episode with absolutely fantastic, an absolutely fantastic outcome, and I have to admit, that is brilliant. And yeah. And also, my God, music was fantastic, especially with the end of the episode. I think as a whole, it's just such a good episode. I think House and the House of character is very cool. Very, very cool. And I just think It's good to see the Yud back as well. Great to see the Yud. Fucking, although, albeit it's not on YouTube because there's a few. It's a, it's not doesn't speak like an speech or something like that, but it's still fantastic to see Anu back in the show. After all this time, it's one of the things that came back. I just think, as a whole, it's a very, for a single parter, it does its job fantastically, and I think it's one of those episodes that barely has any other characters other than Ten, Amy, Rory, and then obviously the two Patchwork people, and Idris, who the Patchwork people then die halfway through the episode, so we're just left with 4 people and a house. That's a concept, as on its own, that's a concept that's fantastic, to have such few little people going through the TARDIS. It's good to see. One thing I want to mention is that obviously you see a lot of the TARDIS corridors and stuff, but we don't see them again, so sort of like almost a missed opportunity in my opinion with the TARDIS corridors. And I think there's room to improve on that in later episodes, but yeah, I think it's just very much a missed opportunity, honestly. But one of the other things I just wanted to say about this episode is the sets and the set design is fantastic here. So along with the writing, this is one of the top 2 episodes for the writing and the set design. I think the set's really cool. Obviously Neil Gaiman's a very fantastic writer. I don't think the set designer was, but they did a fantastic job designing the sets for this episode. They look fantastic. And as a whole, it's a very solid episode. It's actually, I'd say it's definitely better than most of Series 6. And I like the concept of the Time Lord being in the Cube team, and that's really fucking cool. I think that's cool. And I like the idea that they lure the Doctor in with more Time Lord friends. Any other, that sort of thing, make him fucking mad, and it did. So, that's just how the story goes at the end of the day, and it's just a, fantastic story. And like I said, it just resonates with me. It's a fun story. It's very enjoyable, it's well written, the sets are fantastic, and it's like I said, big props to the actress playing Idris, who is just fantastic in that role. She really gives it all, and some of the dialogue is incredibly weird, and you just being able to nail that spot on the head is pretty fucking fantastic. And yeah, overall, it's a very good role. It's very enjoyable. It's great to see Amy and Rory's relationship plus that. And as a whole, it's just one of the that really stands out as something that, while not on the same level of, say, Love and Monsters and stuff like that in the change of the structure of Doctor Who, it definitely explores an interesting concept that I don't think would have been explored before, and I think it's use of the almost minimalistic set design, which the wacky character isn't. An interesting climax. I mean, it's a fantastic ending as well, and almost a bittersweet ending as well. And it's just overall a really fantastic episode. I can't really express enough how good an episode it really is. It's just a top class episode, a very enjoyable one, and as a whole, it's just fun to watch. Great and enjoyable episode, and I think, like I said, the character of Idris is fantastic. The story is great. Neil Gaiman's a fantastic writer. And yeah, I just want to, say that out there. I think I just want to mention, before I wrap this one up and move on to the next episode, that I am trying to be a bit more out there with how I review these things. I don't want to keep saying it's great, it's fantastic and all that shit. I want to try and really describe the episode the most I can, so I'm trying my best here with this new mic. It's an opportunity to start fresh and stuff, so I'm hoping that that's working. But yeah, coming up now is my review. Coming up now is my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 5, The Realm of Flesh, which is the first part of the 2-part of The Realm of Flesh, The Almost People, coming at you right about now. So, Doctor 6. Find it. Episode 5. It do be a weird thing though. It's a. You know how you have those movies like Escape Room that try to. I mean, from my experience, I just want to talk about this a second. Escape Room to me always looked like it was purely a horror movie, but when actually watching it, it's more of a thriller. Also, more in depth about this Escape Room. I just want to bring up this point in that a lot of the scenes are like scenes where you think there's going to be horrible, gruesome death. And I think the best example of that for me is the early scene in the movie where they're in the lobby room, and it all starts heating up like a really, really hot oven. And me watching the film, even before seeing what happened, just as the first set of evidence turned on, I thought, oh god, someone's going to get. It's going to be really gruesome, like a. But it wasn't that, and I think. Circle back to Doctor Who. I think this episode specifically is trying to be that kind of thing. That it's trying to be horror, but it's more thriller at the same time. At that token, and I think that's what really makes it an enjoyable. And at the end of the day, it's still entertaining. It's one that I don't have very many memories of remembering it, watching it back. The last two times I've watched Doctor Who back to back, I don't particularly remember that much of it. That's not a bad thing. I think as a whole, the episode is it's an interesting dilemma. Really, I like the dilemma and the dynamic that it has about it, and I think that's what really makes it something different to most other episodes of Who. That it's very. And I like that. I do feel like, as a whole, looking at Series 6, it's a very experimental series, if you ask me. But not in the way that, say, where changing the structure of Doctor Who, it's almost changing the genre in some points, and trying to do some different things, but not to the point where it's changing the structure of the episode. It's trying to do things that I think try to demonstrate how Who can really. It doesn't have to stick to the same structure and plot and design elements and same sort of family-friendly drama stuff. It can be, at times, fairly, try its best to be thrillers and horrifying and stuff, and it can be, and I like that Series 6 is that experimental series, if you ask me, and I think it's worked out decently so far with a lot of series. As a whole, Series 6 is very much an experimental series, with its plot lines and stuff. It's very intriguing, and as a whole, this two-parter is one that sort of is almost an ethical issue. It's got, to an extent, politics, but less, but it's more sort of that ethical issue of, if we had doppelgangers, how would we treat them? And I think it's one of those episodes that it reminds me of the Silurian episode from Series 5. Cold Blood, but not to the same extent. Why I feel like it reminds me of that is that you have the one human that messes it up. There's a difference in that episode. Once she does that thing that messes it up, everyone's like, what have you done on her? Had terrible against her. But in this episode, and the almost people, it's a matter of the person being the main lady who kills one of the doppelgangers, and the only person who's like, you're fucking stupid, is the Doctor, and to an extent, not too much. Mostly Rory, actually. Rory, he's fantastic in this so far, and I'm pretty sure in both two-parters. I think this is Rory at his best, because he's playing Rory as a whole in this episode is someone who is realising a lot of things, and I think his shout out to go and help Jennifer is something that really is somewhat of a minuscule character arc for Rory, who is a character who's never had the most character arcs around him. It's more Amy and the Doc, and to see him have some sort of almost character arc in this episode, it is really cool. And I think Arthur Darvill is a fucking fantastic actor, and he plays Rory fantastically, and so does Karen Gillan with Amy. And I truly believe the two of them are together. But I think as a whole, Rory's mini character arc here is fantastic, and another fantastic part of this two-part episode. As a whole, I think it's just one of those episodes that like most of Series 6, tries to be different, tries to do something intriguing, and it does that job very well. I mean, obviously there's another appearance of Madame Coravan here in this episode that will lead up to, I believe, the direct next episode. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. It is a little good mango. So yeah, that's fun. But I think as a whole, it's a series. Like I said, the opening two episodes of Series 6 are fantastic, and here, the second two part of the series, it's still fun, it's still fantastic, and it's very much enjoyable. So I would, I say it's a very solid episode, and I think as a whole, I like the use of Rory, the use of the Flesh and the doppelgangers. That concept is fantastic, and I think it just really is a fun, fantastic, dark, definitely a dark episode in Who If you ask me. That it wouldn't frighten kids to an extent, but it's definitely got elements that could spook people. But yeah, thank you. That's my review of Series 6, Episode 5, The Rebel Flesh. Coming out now is my review of Series 6, Episode 6, The Almost People, coming out right now. And next screen now. Right, so Doctor Who, Series 6, Episode. What is it? Episode. Yeah. It's your boy, episode 6, not 5. Episode 6, The Almost People. Obviously the second part in the two parts of it is The Rebel Flesh, The Almost People. Again, it poses a lot of ethics. Is exactly what it's trying to promote to an extent here, but I think at the same time it also lends itself to be it also lends itself to be an episode that it's an episode that, if you ask me personally, just has that high stakes, and like always, like I've said numerous times throughout this entire fucking review series, a two-parter, the second part is always superior from a story, from a structural standpoint, than the first part. It's just literal fact at this point. The first part gives us the characters, set up an early-ish death sort of thing, or some spooky thing that scares you, then the call. Then we learn the character stuff, then we get a big twist at the end. In the case of this one, is that there's a doppelganger version of the Doctor. And what I love about this one, I'm going to mention this now, is that when we first start, which is what's on the screen right now for me, like, well, I'm just, obviously I'm playing with the background, when we have that doppelganger moment, we have the Doctor, then he speaks in the 4th Doctor's voice, saying, "Do you want a jelly baby?" He speaks in the 10th Doctor's voice, saying, "Hello, I'm the Doctor." And then we get a nice reference to the 3rd Doctor, where he says, "I reverse the polarity of the neutron flow." He says, "I reverse the polarity of the neutron flow," which is a sick reference to the 3rd Doctor. So that's really cool. I like the references here. But like I said, I like the whole idea that the real Doctor and the Flesh Doctor were swapped around, so Amy believed that the Flesh Doctor was the real Doctor, and that the real Doctor was in fact the Flesh Doctor. And I do like the twist at the end is really funky, that Amy was never there and that she was always in a different place, which is a really funky twist. I like that, and obviously that's then the episode, which is a fun, fantastic, fun-filled one. But I like how they link it to the Flesh, and that Amy was a Flesh the whole time. And that's fantastic. I think the concept of two Doctors, the same Doctor at least, is quite funky and it's very well executed here, if you ask me. I think as a whole it's just an episode that is just really quite, like I said, like most two-parters are really fun. It's, again, it does remain some of that dark elements of the previous episode, but also some light-hearted comedy from both Doctors at points and stuff. But I like that towards the end of the story, all much like in the Silurian episode I was talking about from the Hungry Earth Cold Blood episode, that part, towards the end of the story, all the gangers then, except for one, help the humans out, and then that one that doesn't help the humans out turns into a horrible looking CGI monster that has not aged well at all, although it does look better than some of the stuff we've seen in the series 1, 3, 4, but it still looks fucking shit. That's my point. But yeah, like I said, that final thing is cool. The confrontation at the end is quite fun. I like to see the dad and the kid. That's a nice little heartwarming, epic moment that's really cool. Epic, super heartwarming, cute moment. But yeah, as a whole, it's just a very, very structurally good two-parter with the whole of the elements that I think are really funky. And again, it's a fantastic concept, great execution, and a great lead into the next episode. So, from a structural standpoint, it does everything that a two-parter should do leading into another part. And I think, like I said, structurally, its sound, music is another fantastic thing. Right. Your boy at Murray Gold. What a lad. What a fucking lad. But yeah, like I said, as a whole, it's just a funky episode. I like the fact that there was two Flesh when they killed the Jennifer thing. That was fun. Which doesn't explain to me what the real Jennifer is. Very confused about that. But I'm sure my big brain. I'm sure there's some point around where you can figure that out. But yeah, as a whole, it's a fun kid. Ooh. And it's an episode that I think personally is, like I said, it's a great two-part, great thriller, horror, mystery thing, and it's nice in the second part. So yeah, thanks for watching my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 6, The Almost People, leading us nicely to Episode 7, a good and Ghost War review coming at you right about now. Right, so Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 7, A Good Man Goes to War. Now, it's a fucking lit episode, but before we get into that, I just do want to apologise and mention that, obviously, I'm recording this, but I do check the videos in post. I do check the audio as I put it into the exportation thing I use. So I do want to mention that, obviously, I did replay the Almost Flesh and the other one, and I want to apologise for the horrendous audio dubbing. Well, not audio dubbing, but the horrendous audio on those two segments that you just heard about 5 to 6 minutes prior to those two episodes, because obviously I wasn't aware when I was recording that, but as I played it back, there's enormous audio issues specifically with episode 6. So I just want to apologise for that. I imagine someone's probably commented already at this point in the video. If not, it's probably because no one likes my videos and no one comments below and stuff. But if you have, appreciate you pointing that shit out. I'm aware it's there, and I can't be fucked re-record it, and it's not even, like, it's the whole thing as far as I'm aware, so it will just have to do for now. I'm sorry. But, yeah, here we are with Series 6, Episode 7, Good Man Goes to War, and it is something. An episode that feels like it very much could be a finale episode for a series. That fucking good. And obviously the ending twist of River being Melody Pond, the daughter of Amy Pond and Rory Williams, is a fantastic twist, and it's good to see the Doctor understand it, and then the Doctor just fuck off, and then the River basically just explains it to Amy and Rory, and then we end on that, and it's a fantastic ending, and it's like as a whole, it's a fantastic episode. And it's a lot of callbacks in that episode, in this episode specifically, including that of we have the dive, we have planes that we have the Spitfires from the Victory of the Daleks, the Silurians from Hungry Earth, and Cold Blood. We have 5 men appearing briefly. We also have Captain Avery from Curse of the Black Spot, who makes an appearance. We have the first appearance of Dorium, who will appear a couple of times. We also have the first appearance of the Paternoster Gang, i.e. Jenny Flint, Manavastra, and Shrax, and I love the Paternoster Gang. I think they're fucking hilarious. I do think that they're at their best in Deep Breath at the beginning of the 12th Doctor era, and obviously there are, I say play a bigger role, but there are probably about even Stevens roles between the 11th and 12th Doctor range, and they are a fantastic set of characters, obviously after introducing the Silurians in an ally Silurian, and Manavastra is really, obviously, Manavastra's a great character, so is Jenny Flynn. And obviously, it's an interesting dynamic because I don't think it's specifically stated, but it is heavily implied through dialogue from both characters that Manavastra and Jenny Flynn are a couple, which is a great thing to see that sort of progression in Doctor Who, especially, it's a fantastic element, and I think it works well, and I think the way it's teased, not teased, but implied here is really well done. It's not shouting you in the face, they are a couple. It's like, it's information that you might want to take into context because it also means something else. But I think the way they sprinkle it instead of just, like I said, shouting in their face is fantastic. But yeah, I also think the character of Lorna is really cool as well. I think she's really funny. I think she's really actiony, you know, a great character in all, and I think that's fun. And obviously, it's great to see River again. And as a whole, I think a fantastic character. So is everyone here is fleshed out so well. It's great to see all those people back. You know, the Captain, Silurian, Cyberman, Judoon. There's some Judoon, Platoon on the moon. No, it's a funny 10th Doctor reference, but leave it. You know, it's great to see all these characters here in one episode. It feels like it should be a finale, but it's not. It's like a halfway through a season episode, as we're directly halfway through the season, with this being episode 7. No. Like I said, as a whole, it's a really interesting episode because it leaves a lot to think about after viewing it. It's one of those episodes. I think, you know, it could be one of the better episodes of New Who, I think, at the moment. It's really fun, but I know I get a lot of people don't particularly like Stephen Moffat's writing and the way he does things, but here I think it's fantastically well done. You know, like I said, the Patmos again being here was fantastic. It's good to see everyone that the Doctor has met previously and stuff part here. And yeah, just good to see River towards the end of the episode and at the beginning, obviously. But the whole fight in between the fact that they saw the Doctor the same way twice, with the Melody being a ting, a scheme pop killing ting, no, being a flesh copy is pretty sick. And I think, you know, it paints a picture of the Doctor as someone who is obviously so relentless that he'll do whatever it takes to find Amy. And obviously it paints a picture of Rory being an absolute fucking badass in the opening. Like, what a fucking badass Rory the Centaurial, which is lit as well. But yeah, like I said, it's just one of those episodes that really stands out to being, you know, an all-rounder. And everyone is here, and almost a Smash Bros of 11 Doctor characters, which we'll see a bit more of in the episode. But it's one of those, obviously the ultimate in everyone is here Smash Bros episode is definitely Journey's End. Oh no, Journey's End is fucking lit ass shit ass. But yeah, like I said, there's also a couple of Sontarans here and there, but obviously Drax being the main Sontaran. And I have to admit, I do remember thinking that the Sontaran costumes in the episode in the series 4, they don't look good. Boys Sky, they did not look the best, but Strax's costume here in this episode is spot on. It's how the Sontarans have gone through these episodes. And I don't think Sontarans have been a villain in an episode since that episode. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me, but I'm 90% sure that they haven't been a villain because Strax is just so fucking cool. That's what I have to say. But yeah, like I said, we're in Series 6, we're in this for the long run. When I get to the last episode of the series, I will talk about what I'm going to do in regards to Series 7, because it is also a messy pie, much like Series 4. But it's also different. So we'll get to what we'll do to that. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. We're Decent Manning, and yeah, coming up next to my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 8. Episode 8, Let's Kill Hitler, which is an interesting one, and we'll get right to it right about for now. So, it is Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 8, Let's Kill Hitler. It feels rather like an episode that is a bit condensed, a bit smaller than, say, you know, the previous episode, and but I still think Let's Kill Hitler has a lot of interesting twists and turns. One of my favourite scenes actually is a scene quite fairly close to the beginning of the episode. It's a scene where it shows the relationship between the characters of Mel's and Amy and Rory throughout the years, and my favourite scene of that is when Mel's is sat on the bed, Amy and Rory are stood up, and Mel's goes, "Oh, you two should be together," and all that shit, and then Amy calls Rory gay, and then Amy says, "When have you ever shown, I've known you for 10 years, when have you ever shown the slight interest in a girl? Ever?" And then it all just clicks in, and then that's my favourite scene in this entire episode. It's a fantastic scene, but it's also cool to see the origins, almost origins of River, the little reveal when they get to Germany that Mel's is in fact Melody is really cool, and the fact that, you know, they grew up, that her daughter is kind of, you know, left funny. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think Amy and Rory are on top form as always. 11 is awesome. Mel's is a fun character. River, I really felt watching it that this is almost like, at least when Mel's first turned to River, that it's a very different River than what we used to. And I was thinking to myself, I'm sure Alex Kingston was really happy to be able to portray almost a completely different version of River that we hadn't seen before, even though it's still River, which is I think that's just a really cool concept in itself. And I think, you know, she's able to give it all she can. Alex Kingston does a fantastic job there. I think another great scene is when they save Hitler, and it's quite funny, and the doctor's like, believe me, it was an accident. It is quite funny. And then Rory put Hitler in the cupboard. I think it's also well written. I also think the whole robot in the robot with people in it, and the miniaturization rays is funky, cool thing. It does it quite well. Like I said, it's just a very well structured episode, well rounded episode. It's quite fun. It does have a lot of stuff that sets up future episodes, but also at the same time it sort of contains the story a bit. I was just thinking that, you know, obviously it does do a lot with what we've already seen previously in the series with the whole River thing and Melody and all that stuff, which is great to see that it continues that lovely stuff, which is fun. But at the same time, and with the same respect, I think it's one of those things that really, it's an episode that still sick though, and it's good to see young Amelia again in the scenes as well, which is funky. But yeah, that's the whole it's a fun episode. I like the montage that shows them being Amy and or Amelia and Mel's being young again and going through the years of school and all that stuff. I think it's a cool concept, and but yeah, like I said, everyone's on top form. Karen Gillan, Arthur Darvill, Matt Smith, like I said, everyone's on top form here. Fantastic fun. It's just fun, you know. It's just a great episode, you know. But yeah, like I said, I think it's one of those that does this job of being in the middle and doing things in the right, respective way, you know. And yeah, like I said, it's just a fun episode. And yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, thanks for watching my review of episode 8, Let's Kill Hitler. Coming up next is my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 9, Night Tales, coming at you right about now. Yo, we're back with, well, not back, if you're watching the video, this just comes directly after the last one, but for me, this is a day later. This video should have been going up. May or may not, but I was originally intending it to go up August, which is when I'm recording this, but obviously, that may or may not. If it is, then I work my day. If it's not, then soz. Here we are with Doctor Who, Series 6, Episode 9, Night Terrors. Now, I'm going to be quite frank with you here. This is a boring episode. And I have to get, obviously, first and foremost, I do have to let you know that this is written by one of the best Doctors I've had for a while, Mark Gatiss, was Doctor Who, notably The Lazarus Experiment in Series 3, and Twice Upon a Time in Series 10. So, I mean, interesting guy. But as this story goes, it's really not that it's not a terrible story, don't get me wrong, but it's just flat. It's boring. It struggled to keep my attention for a lot of time, and I think it's not down to the writing. I think it's more down to the writing to an extent, but I think it's mostly down to the setting. I mean, the only thing that I really like about it is the characters of the dad and the kid are quite cool together. I like the dad. I think the dad, by whatever actor plays the dad, yeah, I think that's fantastic. I just think that the whole but I think as a whole the concept is a bit dry in places, and I think everyone does their best, don't get me wrong. I think 11's performance in Matt Smith's 11, I think, is good as usual, and I think Emmy Mori almost sidelined for a bit where we just see this, it just doesn't feel natural, and I definitely feel like this, so far, is the weakest episode of Series 7 that I have viewed. Because Series 7 has some real highs, but obviously, every series must have its lows in some capacity, not in the capacity that every single episode of Series 7 is fucking shit, because that's not true, but in terms of Series 5, since I've been the most just good series of all, the most all around same level series, it's pretty fantastic, and I follow other series that is, you know, still really good. It's pretty good, and I think as a whole Series 6 does have a lot of ups and downs, but I think that Series 6 here, at least in this episode, I feel like there's a lot more you could do with it, and yeah, it's just a thing that I think could have been fleshed out a bit more. It could have been, you know, just dug a bit deeper. I feel like structural wise it is sound, it does its job, but I think at the same time it could have very much fleshed out Amy and Warwick and those characters, and I do like the dynamic of the father and the kid and the doctor all having a conversation and all that stuff, and I think that worked well, but besides from that there isn't much more to say. You know, there's not really much more, you know, to talk about the episode, so yeah, I mean, it's not the worst, it's not the best, it is just an episode. This is the fact that I'm gonna. But yeah, sorry about that, I was just trying to fiddle with it. That's a noise. That's a noise. But yeah, like I said, it's just one of those things that I feel like could have been fleshed out a bit more in some places. It could have been, you know, expanded a bit in some places, but I just feel like as a whole it's really quite, you know, a weak episode in this series, you know, and I think there is some things you could do, but I don't think there's much you could do to tweak it into becoming a great episode, and I think that's not really a bad thing. I think that you need to have those episodes that are not exactly the greatest, but I do think we've got a few coming up that are quite good. I think the next episode don't remember very much, so I'm going in a fresh look, and yeah, but I just want to use these final seconds to just say that I am getting access to BritBox again at the end of September. So if you do want, which does contain Classic 2, so if you do want me to do Classic 2 reviews, let me know and I'll do it. But that would take a lot more effort out of me, and I want to get back to doing some sort of movies. So I'm thinking of doing Classic 2 around this time next year potentially, because I want to get into the first movies. I've got a movie I want to do, Christmas Plan, my favourite Christmas movie of all time. I'm going to do that for the Christmas special on, probably going to record it on the 23rd December 2021 and upload it on the 25th December 2021 for the Christmas special 2021. Let's go. I have to think of other Christmas movies to do for the special, but you know, we'll get there. But yeah, just it's an episode, that's what I'm going to say. But yeah, currently it's my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 10, The Girl Who Waited, coming out your screen right about now. Yo, what's up? It is Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 10. Episode 10. Why is it still fucking Series 4? That's not right, bro. Episode episode 10, The Girl Who Waited. An intriguing one at that, a very interesting one with the dilemma of the older Amy and the younger Amy, and I think it does a good job, you see, of memes. It does a good job of portraying two different Amys. I think that's fun. Obviously, conceptually, it's quite fun. I think having almost the 11th Doctor sidelined for most of it is an interesting concept, and I think that works quite well. But as I said, which I haven't said, as I'm trying to explain to you all, the whole episode as a whole is just really fun, and I think for me that's what really lands this episode in the position of being a fun one, an intriguing one, and very much another one with a lot of context, I suppose, and not political, but sort of just ethical dilemmas and stuff. And I do like the whole ending where it's like the Doctor knew that there couldn't be two Emmys in the TARDIS, and it's just like for moment 6, for moment 7, and moment 8. But yeah, like I said, Amy's always been one of my favourite companions. To see her explore a bit more here is fun, and I also have to admit Rory is on top form here as well. Much as he is in A Good Man Goes to War. That's a fucking awesome episode, by the way. But like I said, it's just a really structurally sound episode, a fun episode, a one that definitely has a lot left to think about. And I think as a whole, it's just one of those episodes that I think it's a fantastic concept, quite well executed, and you know, it's just an all-round great episode. But it's also not the best of the series. It's not the weakest, but it's also not the best. I still do enjoy it. I think, like I said, there could be more to expanding with the older Amy and the younger Amy, but it does beg the question. Right? But hey, that's just a theory. Again. But yeah, I do like that, if albeit a bit underused in places, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a fantastic fun episode. I thoroughly enjoy it personally. I think it's great fun. But I don't think, like I said, it's the best episode. I don't know if I've said this, but I will say it again. When it comes to Series 7 and onward, obviously my plan is to do Series 7 Part 1, Episodes 1 through 6, Series 7 Part 2, Episodes 7 through, I believe, 12 or 13, and then the last 3 episodes. So for Series 7 it will be Series 7 Part 1, 2012, Episodes 1 through 6, that's Sign of the Daleks, Sign from Spaceship, Powerful Mercy, Back 1. So, Episodes 1 through 6 for Series 7 Part 1, and Series 7 Part 2, with Episodes 7 through 13, and then Episodes 14 through 16, which are The Name of the Doctor, The Day Doctor, and The Coming Doctor, will be under the video title, the Doctor Who, the 50th Anniversary Specials. Yeah, so that's what I'm planning to do for that. I already have music and stuff ready for it. I had to edit some tracks. You'll see the first edited track in Series 7 Part 1. Series 7 Part 1 will be, so the next review will have the first edited track, which is kind of lit. It's a fantastic episode. It's highly enjoyable, and I think, like I said, Roy and I think Rory and Amy are great fans. I think as a whole, I really think Boy, the 11th Doctor, is on a great form here, and I think, you know, it's a great episode. And yeah, coming to Doctor Who Series 6 episode. episode. Why am I on series 7? Series 6, episode 11, The God Complex, an interesting one. Yeah, that's kind of wipe out now in your eardrums. Thank you, and bye bye. So, Doctor Who, Series 6, Episode 11, The God Complex. Now, before we start off, there's a few little things I need to rack off about this episode. The most notable one is that obviously we have a famous British actor in this one, much like the last time we had one was Hugh Bonneville in The Curse of the Black Spot, and also in A Good Man Who Goes to War, he makes a big cameo in the episode. But here we have famous children's author, and now who's one of his books has been turned into a ride at the York Towers resort known as Gangster Granny Ride. Yes, that is David Walliams as Gibbs. So I think he does a fantastic job. He's obviously in heavy prosthetics and makeup and that for the role, but he does a fantastic job. He's really funny as he always is. He is David Walliams, so he's funny. And then the other thing is that the plethora of Easter eggs contained in this episode. We see weeping angels, but there's also that's like the single enemy Easter egg. But in terms of Easter eggs, we see a lot of Easter eggs of characters pictured on the wall. We see one of the Sontarans from the Poison Sky. We see one of the fly-looking creatures from Planet of the Dead. Hang on, the bits coming on the screen, so I'll just say one in a minute. But those are some that comes to the top of my head. I think there's another Weeper there. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Don't quote. Oh. But yeah, we see a selection of other different enemies from the Who universe from the last couple of series and stuff. Have a look, see. So there's a Silurian on the wall, presumably from that episode. There's obviously there's a like I said, there's a Sontaran. What else is there? There's there's one of the Novice Haim like person from that episode of New Earth, which is really cool. I think that's the fun that he said all the way back to series 2, which is far back as they could go in this particular scene. And I think that's a fun, almost Easter egg wall with a lot of Easter eggs on that wall, and I think that's really sick. But as a whole, the episode, it's obviously set in this hotel, which is quite cool because it means there's no outside to see. The group of characters we have is one of those episodes that has a selection of a couple of characters plus the Doctor and his companions, which is fun. And I do like when the Doctor says, "Amy, really wet, you're fired," and he's like, "I'm sure." It's quite funny. But yeah, I think all the characters good. I think Wheaty's a really cool character that could have been a companion in a way. So one of those could have been companions. Howie's a bit fucking weird, but there you go. Joe is there for 5 minutes, but he's kind of cool. The character of the Minotaur, the Minotaur thing, is quite cool. Obviously, there's a bittersweet sad ending at the end, which is unfortunate. I'm also caught this time where he gives Rory a big car house that they wanted. But the next episode, Closing Time, brings back one of my favourite characters from series 5. Your boy, you know him. You love him. It is your boy, Craig. He's back in the Hoodverse. But yeah, Amy's on top form, Rory's on top form. I think Rory's really quite cool in this episode here. And I think Doctor's really good on top form as well. Yeah, like I said, it's a fun episode. I do like... It's almost got another one of those episodes that's like Escape Room, that's a thriller, almost. It feels like a thriller. And I think that's what makes it enjoyable, at the very least. And I think, sure, there could be some improvements in minimal story parts and stuff, and the Minotaur is not the most intriguing of the Doctor Who villains, let's be fucking real, but at the end of the day, it's fucking cool. It's an enjoyable episode. I think it's fun. As a whole, it's just one of those episodes that I think is really good, but not... It's good, it's an okay episode, it's better than the previous episode, but I just think there could be improvements here and there, and I think as a whole there is just areas that could definitely be improved upon, and I would love to see like I said, my favourite part of this episode is pretty much the whole of Easter eggs collection, which is really sick. I like to see those sort of Easter eggs. There's a lot of that in this era of the show, but not as many as we go forward into the 13th and what would eventually become the 14th Doctor era. Well, should I say just 13 because that's the Chibnall era of writing. And I've already said my 2 pence, and I told you I'm not going to talk about it. But like I said, if you want to hear my that's the beginning of this video, so skip back to it. And in regards to, I don't know, I've been trying to figure out timestamps in the description because I'm working as hard as I can to get them. I'm how to get the timestamps to work properly. So if anyone who's watching this gives enough of a shit, drop me a DM on Twitter or Instagram, or Discord. My Discord server's in the link tree. Hit that. I'm the first person there. If any of you know how to work that, drop me a DM on Twitter, Instagram, or Discord, and I will, or even Xbox. But that's the one I really like to pick up on. So I'm most likely to see it on Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. So if you know how to get the timestamps to work in the description, drop me a DM, and I'll see how to get it to work. But yeah, apart from that, fun episode. Elements that it could definitely improve on, but it's still a fun episode. So yeah, thank you for watching my review of Doctor Who Series 6 episode 11. We've got Contact, we've got Closing Time, The Wedding of Riversong, and the Doctor Wardrobe up next. So yeah, and I do believe, as far as I'm aware, this is the penultimate episode, this may be one of the last episodes of Series 6 to have Amy and Roy. And I think they. We'll see when we get to that. Yeah, right now it's my Series 6, episode 12, Closing Time. Boy Craig returning. Fucking go. Great. Yo, it is your boy coming at you with a review of Doctor Who Series 6, episode 12. Ooh. 12. Closing Time. Now, I have to admit, looking back on Series 6, this has to be one of my highlights of the series. The opening 2-parter is fantastic. Curse of Black Spot is fun, but we'll get to talk about that. But I have to admit, I've always been looking forward to Closing Time because it's one of my favourites, because I think Craig as a character is awesome. It's good to see Sophie as well, and the new addition of Alfie as the child. It's also technically the 11th Doctor's first full, proper Cybermen story, although it's not on the same scale as stuff like Age of Steel. As things like Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, or the 2-part finale at the end of that series, Army of Ghosts. So it's not quite on the level of those as a single part episode. B, it just has the story is more focused on the Doctor and his relationship with Craig and his impending death than it is specifically on the threat of the Cybermen. It's more focused on towards the end of the episode or in the middle of it that the Doctor's like, oh, if you stay with me, you're in more danger, and Craig really thinks that if you're with the Doctor, you're in less danger, and it's sort of showing on what part of that's true and what that's false. And then I like that narrative that story constructs. It's quite fun. But yeah, like I said, it's a fun episode. It's just literally one of the best episodes. Craig is so funny. Craig is so cool. I think the Cybermen thing is an interesting solution to that sort of thing. But I think, like I said, the story is, on the outside, it looks like a Cybermen story. It's actually a story about the Doctor and Craig's relationship and the Doctor going forward and stuff, wrapped around a cyber story. And also, like I said, the focus is more on the Doctor and Craig, and that's really what makes the episode one of the best of the series. The focus on these two characters opposed to the big bad, and that's what I think, like I said, is something that maybe the show, more episodes should do in the future. I can't recall if any do in the future or not, but what I'm trying to say is that's what makes this episode so good. And obviously, you know, I think Craig as a character is fantastic. Of both episodes, but Star Craig is fantastic. I probably could tell you which one I prefer, The Lodger or Closing Time. But yeah, like I said, obviously it's James Corden portraying another famous British actor, James Corden portraying Craig in Doctor Who. I'd love to see Craig come back in Series 13. Let's make it happen, Chips. But yeah, like I said, the Closing Time is really fun. It's really just so about showing us the character of the Doctor, and I do like the whole thing with the baby, where the Doctor can talk baby, so he's relaying stuff to him, and then to back to Craig and stuff. And then there's the bit where Craig is saved from the Dalek, from the side version, because he hears Alfie crying, which is just a really sweet thing, and it's fantastic. But yeah, as a whole, it's one of those episodes that I really think is just so enjoyable. It's just fun. I think, like I said, it's a hell of an episode. It's one of the best of Series 6. And I think that's really what... I really think this is a good template for future episodes where the Doctor's without one of the main companions. And I think it was a great idea to bring back Craig. I think it was a no-brainer. I think also when they were brainstorming this kind of episode for this slot after Amy and well, we had not left, but obviously another cameo by Amy. But I'm not 100% sure if they're in this finale. I hope they are, but they are in Series 7, so I suppose they must be. Otherwise, seeing them in God Complex and then straight forward into the next series is a bit fucking weird. I haven't watched this series in a while, but yeah, like I fucking said, this has been my review of Series 6, Episode 12. It's closing time, which is like I said, it's a fucking epic episode. It's one of, obviously, like I said, the 11th Doctor is always one of my favourite Doctor, the 13th is my second favourite Doctor. I don't know how likely that is to change anytime soon, but if you want to know my top 10 Doctor or some shit like that, yeah. Also, if you want to see me do Classic Who, that's on the cards now, but I won't be doing that until next year because I don't want to. I'm putting myself through enough doing this one. It's not stress, but it's more so. It's long hours, obviously, doing a whole... I can do one in 2 days, but obviously I have... My grandma is obviously my... caught the virus, so obviously she can't see my nan as much as I can, so I go and see my nan every day now, and obviously that's watching these Doctor Who stuff is taking time away from that. But also, it's sort of just... It's long, and I preferred it when I just did one movie. Technically, at this point in time, the outro is misleading because it says new reviews every Monday, every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, which is currently not true because I haven't done that for a long time. Set of things was, Jesus, it was ages ago. It was ages and ages and ages. It was the 24th of June 2021. But yeah. Like I said, I'm enjoying making this stuff. I hope you enjoy watching it. And yeah, thank you for watching my review of Doctor Who Series 6. Why am I need to fucking stop saying thank you for watching my review of Doctor Who Series 6, Episode 13, The Wedding of Riversong. Coming at you right about now. Enjoy that episode review. Yo, so it is Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who Series 6, Episode... B13, I want to say 13. Yeah, 13, The Wedding of Riversong. Now, I just want to point out immediately, it's on my screen as I'm watching it now, but this episode has a lot of Easter eggs, spoily things, lots of fun stuff. Winston Churchill is back here, you see, and one of the ones that I don't think anyone saw coming was the actor who portrayed Charles Dickens all the way back in Series 1 returns in this episode as Charles Dickens. You have a Silurian in part of the episode. Obviously, there's a lot of Easter eggs flying around here. Those are the... I just want that a lot of the ending of this one is a bit... How can I say? Different. And, I mean, I do like the idea that you use the Tessa Collector. Was kind of funky, and I think it's a really good ending. A lot of people are very sort of this controversial thing, but I really think it's really, really good. I like the ending. I like this episode as a whole. One of the highlights of this series. Is definitely not my favourite episode, but it's definitely up there with the first two-parter, Closing Time, and other episodes. about that. But which is to the Widow and the Wardrobe, so look forward to that coming soon. But like, I just want to say that this episode is fun. Yeah, I like to see all the old characters come back, to see essentially the wrapping up of what we've been seeing for almost 2 series now, with the silence will fall when the question is answered, which in fact still isn't wrapped up until the end of series 7, if you ask me, which in a way, if you want to look at it, series 5 all the way through to the end of the 5th anniversary special in series 7 is a selection of series that has almost one elements that click throughout the entire 3 series, would be the crack in time series 5, the silence will fall here in this series, and obviously when the question is answered and trends are all going into series 7 and the end of series 7, which is fun. And I also just want to make a little note here that the Doctor Who reviews playlist is going to get a bit bigger than the current set of series, because it's not only about uploading series 7 part 1, series 7 part 2 and the anniversary specials. I'm also going to upload, after all those 2 videos are completed, a mega awesome ultra video containing all 3 of those videos piled together. So enjoy that as it is, because that's what's going to happen, all piled together. And yeah, as a complete edition as well, as so it'll be series 7 complete edition, and then obviously series 7 part 1, series 7 part 2, and the specials will be compiled into that series 7 complete edition review. And I will also be doing almost like a full when this is my review of Doctor Who series 6, episode 13, The Wedding of the Song. Like I said, an episode that I thoroughly enjoy. The ending is funky and unexpectedly also cool. Like I said, it's another reference to Let's Go Hitler and stuff, and so many other characters can come back and stuff. And like I said, it's just a really good story. It's a great episode, and I know I'm going to be like Stephen Moffat, but a reputation of being a bit different to other stories, I suppose. But yeah, like I said, it's just a really fun story. What can I say? I think it's a fantastic fucking story. And I just do want to apologise for audio issues that may have occurred during this video, and that's due to obviously having the new microphone and not knowing how all things work. So I do apologise for those where there's been a lot of the when going back, and obviously on active speakers pay throughout, a lot of them for some reason come through as mono versions, where one speaker plays the audio of the music and the other one plays the speaker, or the other one has my voice coming through it, which I don't know how I did that. I don't like it, and it shouldn't be happening. Trying as hard as I can to fix these things to get them to stop happening, but it's really hard. So I apologise if any of that stuff is still ongoing. But yeah, thank you for watching. Still in this video, you're awesome, by the way. This is series 6, episode 13, the final episode of the main series. I believe 13 or 12, 13. The Wedding of Riversong. Coming up next is my review of Doctor Who series 6 Christmas special, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, coming at you now. Yeah. And you tell me what we are in this episode, by the way, but not in the way you expect. Well, that's a fun fact. But yeah, coming now for my review of Doctor Who series 6, episode 14, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Right, so Doctor Who series 6, the Christmas special. Now, a few things off the bat. Normally, on most reviews, I would be using the titles, the Doctor Who theme version from the respective series. So for this one, it will be from the series 5 soundtrack, which is still in the playlist for my music review. But because there's a really, really good track at the beginning of this Christmas special, I'm using that. I don't know if I'll do that for future Christmas specials. I haven't done it for the previous one, being the Christmas Carol, which is the only one that had its own official album release for it. And I don't know if I'll do it for the Snowman. The future one. And the Snowman was the last one to have its actual soundtrack release, which is fun. But on this episode, first things first, we have the famous British celebrity check. We have Bill Bailey as one of the guys in one of the Androzanis, which is another, well, there's a couple of references here in this episode. And we have Alexander Armstrong as Reg. Now, reference-wise, we have obviously the cave. I'm 90% sure that when we talk about the Androzanis in this episode, it's reference to the caves of Androzani. Not 100% sure, fact check. But what I am 100% sure of is the Doctor mentions the hidden forest of Cherom, which is a reference which is a reference to the End of the World episode in series 1. Nick referenced obviously the tree lady. That's what he's talking about, which is fun. But as a whole, I think this episode is a great heartwarming story. I like the Doctor's the caretaker sort of thing. That's really cool. I also think that the beginning where Madge rescues the Doctor from drowning in space with everything, and then she's second time without knowing, and then at the end finally figures out who he is with the box and stuff. That's funky. I quite like that. Like I said, Alexander Armstrong, he has a good performance, but to be fair, he's only in like the first 5 minutes and then the last 10 minutes or so. And obviously the ending of this episode is so bittersweet. I actually genuinely nearly cried. I don't care if you call me sad for crying, call me nerd, I don't care. It's what, it's a TV show that I'm heavily invested in, and I genuinely nearly cried at the ending where the Doctor reunites with the pods again, and I had to rewind a bit where Amy opens the door. It was just so wonderful, her reaction and stuff. And like I said, it's just overall, it's a really fun episode. And I think that, like I said, it is very Christmas episode. I like that. But I have to admit, out of all the Christmas episodes, it is fairly one of the more forgettable ones. And I don't say that in terms of it's shit, because it's not. But in terms of the grand scheme, one of my favourite Christmas specials is the River Song. What the fuck? The Husbands of River Song. One of the best Christmas specials. I do have to admit, I think out of all the Doctors, the 12th Doctor had the best Christmas specials. All of his Christmas specials were bare lit. Bam. All of them. The 11th Doctor, though, Christmas Carol, I think this is a Christmas Carol. I think this is the best Christmas special. I think The Snowman. I haven't seen it in a while, obviously. But, well, but yeah, like I said, I do think that Christmas special wise, Doctor is doing. Well, just talking about some. I think the first special, Christmas Invasion, is okay. The one where Bride is really funny and quite like that one. The Voice of the Damned is alright, but I also quite enjoy the Voice of the Damned quite a bit. Obviously you have the next Doctor in the End of Time Part 1. Yeah, the End of Time Part 1, not Part 2, Part 2, Part 1 is Christmas. They're quite decent Christmas specials, like I said. Christmas Carol is one of the best Christmas specials, I think. It and The Husbands of River Song are my two favourite Christmas specials. No, I remember which is a fun one. No, it's not. It's The Time of the Doctor, which is the 5th anniversary special. Fuck you. I don't care. It's obviously also a matter of do I include the husband, the return of Dr. Mysterio as the Christmas special, as a Christmas special for Series 9? And yes, I will. It's not a Christmas special for Series 10. It already has one. It's just an extra Christmas special. So. Yeah, back to this episode. I just think I like the concept of it. It does get heartwarming at points, and it's not bad. But yeah, now we're going to be doing a series overview sort of thing. So going over the series, because this is now obviously the end of Doctor Who Series 6 review, which I'm very happy with how this one's turned out. Obviously, there's been numerous audio issues that I'm trying to work on, and I've also lowered the volume of the intro at the beginning, so it's not as ear-rapey and complete change of audio, because I realised in the last one, obviously, it was choppily edited in towards the end of production. In fact, after it had been produced and put up several times. If you want another full history of that fucking Series 5 review, it's all on my Twitters and Instagram. Not my Instagram, it is on Twitter and it's on my Discord. But yeah, and that one at the beginning, the intro is very loud, which I imagine we get people to turn the volume down, and then when my voice kicks in, it's very quiet because the old one is quiet, and this one is still too. So I decided to adjust the audio of the intro, and I'll probably have to do one. Does it matter for the outro? I don't think it does, so I probably won't. But yeah, like I said, here's just a brief overview of the series. So Series 6, so also we've had Impossible Astronaut, The Day of the Moon, Curse of the Black Spot, The Doctor's Wife, Level Flesh, Almost People, A Good Man Goes to War, Let's Kill Hitler, Night Terrors, The Girl Who Waited, The God Complex, Closing Time, and The Wedding with Song, and The Doctor Who and the Wardrobe. Now, interestingly, this series only has two parts, whereas other series have an extra one towards the end or so. But let's just do a little ranking of this. So, Impossible Astronaut, 8, Day of the Moon, 9, Curse of the Black Spot, 7.5. The Doctor's Wife, high 9 for me. The Rebel Flesh, 7. The Almost People, 7. The Good Man Goes to War, that's a 9 for me. Let's Kill Hitler, 7.5. Night Terrors is a low 4 for me. It's not. It's definitely the weakest episode, but we'll get to that. The Girl Who Waited, that's a 7 as well. Maybe a 6.5. I think, yeah, 6.5 for The Girl Who Waited. The God Complex, that's a high 8 for me. I can't do it. Closing Time, that's a 10 for me. I'm sorry, but Closing Time is so good. It's a 10. And the Reading River Song is a 9. And Doctor the Will of the Wardrobe is an 8. As a series whole, I'm gonna have to give it a 7. Because there's a few that really bring it down a bit. But as a whole series, it's a 7. So solid. Best episode, I have to be honest with you. Closing Time. I have to be honest with you. It's even the 2-part at the top. It's just Closing Time. I'm sorry. It is just Closing Time. The Doctor's Wife has come quite close for that, but it's just Closing Time, and that's just my opinion. So deal with it. I think Closing Time is the best episode of the series 6. And weakest episode for me, it will always be Night Terrors. It's just not that good. I felt bored with it, and that's the problem I have with that episode. But yeah, thank you for watching Doctor Who Series 6 review. This has been the first review of my new mic, so audio problems were down to that thing. There's been some serious audio problems with it. I sincerely apologise. Go, check out the socials. I have not been reacting to Twitch at all. I'm planning to do a Twitch stream in about half an hour. If I can get this edited and uploaded before then. I have a thumbnail. This is all going to go to YouTube in about 5 minutes. Well, I think I get it done anyway. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to finish this series off. It's been taking a lot out of me, so I want to get it done before the end of August is my current plan. But looking at the date, I don't think that's possible because I spent too much time in early August away from it. And unless I bang these out so quickly, which I can definitely get 2 done tomorrow about the series. In fact, I'm hoping to try and get Series 7 as a whole, so that's part 1, part 2, and the 50th anniversary specials all in one go, hopefully, but I can't promise anything. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful, and don't forget, subscribe. Yeah, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and cue that outro.